Something extraordinary just happened in the heart of Europe. After 16 years of conflict, vetoes, and isolation, Hungary is coming back. Back to Europe, back to the table. And the world is watching. On April 12, 2026, Hungarian voters made history. In record numbers, they showed up, and they voted out Viktor Orbán, the man who spent over a decade turning Hungary into Europe's most controversial member state. His replacement? Péter Magyar, leader of the Tisza party, who won not just a majority, but a 2/3 supermajority in parliament. That means he has the power to rewrite the constitution itself. The mandate could not be clearer. But what does this actually mean? What happens next for Hungary? Let's break it down. First, the money. This is huge. Under Orbán, the European Union froze billions of euros in funds for Hungary over concerns about democracy, judicial independence, and corruption. We're talking about roughly 32 billion euros in total. That's around 15% of Hungary's entire GDP, sitting frozen, waiting. That changes now. Péter Magyar has already said that unblocking those EU funds is his government's #1 priority. Talks with the European Commission began within days of the election. Rule of law reforms could be in place by the end of May, and once they are, that money starts flowing. 17 billion euros in budget funds, 10 billion in COVID recovery money, 16 billion in EU defense loans. This is not small change. This is a transformation. For ordinary Hungarians, this means investment, infrastructure, jobs, a modernizing economy that for years was held back by political games in Brussels. Second, Ukraine and Russia. Under Orbán, Hungary was the odd one out. The one country that maintained warm ties with Putin. The one country blocking EU support for Ukraine. The one that held up a 90 billion euro EU loan to Kyiv for years. That veto is gone. On election night in Budapest, the crowds chanted, "Ruzakik Haza," Russians, go home. The same words Hungarians shouted during their 1956 revolution against Soviet occupation. That moment said everything about where Hungary wants to go. Magyar has made clear that repairing relations with Ukraine is a top priority. The 90 billion euro loan to Kyiv, blocked for years by Orbán, is now expected to move forward. Hungary is pivoting away from Moscow. And in the current geopolitical climate, that shift matters enormously. Not just for Hungary, but for the entire European project. Third, what this means for Europe. Think about what Orbán represented inside the EU. He was, as one Oxford professor put it, the Union's veto player, its chief blocker. He delayed sanctions against Russia, held up aid to Ukraine, and used Hungary's membership as leverage for personal and political gain. With him gone, the EU can breathe again. A constructive Hungary at the table changes the dynamics on defense, on enlargement, on the EU's budget negotiations. Budapest is no longer a problem to be managed. It becomes a partner again. And beyond Europe? Orbán was the most important link between European far-right politics and Donald Trump's MAGA movement. That connection is now severed. The ripple effects of this election go far beyond Hungary's borders. So, is this a fairy tale ending? Not quite. Let's be honest. Magyar leads a big tent coalition. Conservatives, liberals, socialists, all united by one goal: removing Orbán. Holding that coalition together while delivering real reforms will be enormously difficult. 16 years of state capture doesn't disappear overnight. The courts, the media, the institutions. Rebuilding trust in all of these takes time. And Hungary's new parliament is, on paper, the most right-wing since 1990. Migration policy will still be tough. There will be friction with Brussels on certain issues. Magyar is not a rubber stamp for everything the EU wants. But here's the thing, that's okay. A Hungary that disagrees with Europe constructively, at the table, in good faith, that is a completely different country from the one that spent a decade sabotaging the project from within. Hungary's story is not finished. In many ways, it's just beginning. A country that chose democracy over autocracy, that chose Europe over isolation, that chose its future over fear. For millions of Hungarians, at home and across the diaspora, this feels like coming up for air. And for Europe, it feels like getting a piece of itself back.